नमस्कार सिक्किम क्रोनिकलको लागि यो विशेष इन्टरभ्यूमा यहाँहरू सबैलाई स्वागत छ। आज हाम्रो सिक्किम राज्यमा फिल्म इन्डस्ट्रीबाट एकजना अतिथि आउनुभएको छ जहाँको परिचय लिएर तपाईहरु समक्ष आज हामी उपस्थित बनेका छौं। उहाँ हुनुहुन्छ एकावली खन्ना र उहाँले विभिन्न फिल्म्सहरू बीट बलिउड हलिउड फिल्म्सहरुमा उहाँले एक्ट गरिसक्नु भएको छ भने उहाँ अवार्ड विनिङ डाइरेक्टर्ससँग काम गरिसक्नु भएको छ। 2017 मा डाइरेक्ट भएको फिल्म व्हाट विल पिपल से यो नर्वेजियन फिल्म थियो भने यो फिल्म 2019 मा अस्करको लागि अफिसियल नोमिनेट गरिएको थियो। नर्वेजियन त्यहाँको कल्चरले भने यो फिल्ममा पनि उहाँले एक्ट गरिसक्नु भएको छ भने यस्तै अन्य फिल्म जस्तै Z+ फिल्म भयो, कौन कितने पानी में, देयर आर फिल्म्स लाइक बलिउड डायरी जसमा उहाँले काम गरिसक्नु भएको छ र उहाँसँग आज हामी केही कुराकानी गर्न लागिरहेको छौँ किनभने उहाँ सिक्किम राज्य आउनुभएको छ। उहाँको जर्नीबारे कुराकानी गर्नेछौँ, उहाँको यो सिक्किम भिजिटबारे पनि कुराकानी गर्न लागिरहेको छौँ। फर्स्ट अफ अल आई वुड लाइक टु वेलकम यू नट जस्ट इन सिक्किम एन्ड अल्सो टु सिक्किम क्रोनिकल। वाट ब्रिङ्स यू टु सिक्किम दिस टाइम? आई ग्यादर द्याट दिस इज नट योर फर्स्ट टाइम इन सिक्किम.
This is not my first time, and every time I come to Sikkim, I think it's my heart that brings me here. It is actually my heart that brings me here because I have a great sense of belonging with this place. I mean, there must be a reason why I've come here 13 times before this, and this is my 14th trip. Some places are not just places. They are actually an emotion, a very deep emotion. When I come to Sikkim, I actually feel that I'm accepted and embraced and just loved. I think there's something so spectacular about the energy of the place, the culture of the place, the people of the place that I always look for a reason to come to Sikkim.
So before we started this interview, you were talking about your holiday destinations, So you chose Sikkim as your holiday destinations, which is quite unusual because people choose holiday destinations like France and, the Switzerland and all, but you chose Sikkim. What is the reason behind that?
As I said, Sikkim for me is of great sentimental value also. And somewhere deep down, I think I just believe that I have a connection with Sikkim. Yes, we can travel around the world, and given an opportunity, I'm sure I would take those opportunities as well. But when I want to relax and when I want to really, go inwards, like when you travel, you normally go outwards, but when I want to go inwards, Sikkim is the place that I think of, and I think this is something that we all need as people, as artists, as individuals, as people who have responsibilities. I mean, life is full, right? There's work, there's family, there are all these tasks that we have to do. It's important to find time and it's important to find opportunities where you can go within. So Sikkim is a place that has always helped me go inwards.
So as you mentioned, this is your 14th trip to Sikkim. What brings you back to Sikkim again? And are there specific stories or specific moments that you recall that brings you to Sikkim?
There are so many. I mean, your interview will last a few days perhaps if I start talking. But if I had to put it in a nutshell, I think it is the kindness and the empathy of the people. I find a lot of inspiration in this space, not just by virtue of the fact that the nature is inspiring. देखिए पहाड़ों को देख के तो हर एक को इंस्पिरेशन मिलती है. When you see the beautiful mountains, or if you go to Canggu Lake, you just look at the blue of the water and you feel inspired. But sometimes just life, the way life happens here in Sikkim, is something that to me personally, as a person, as an artist, is very, very inspiring. You see people, walking uphill with a fridge on their back, with logs of wood on their back. I mean, everybody is so hard working. That is something that inspires you so much. You look around, you see, you just walk around the marketplace. You go to these shops and you see these women who are sitting there, in those shops, and they're taking care of these families, and they're also taking care of the responsibility of earning. I mean, there's just so much inspiration in everything that is Sikkim. And life in the hills is beautiful, but it's not an easy life, right? But the effortlessness with which people function in their day-to-day life, they don't realize it also. It's just how they are. It's how they are wired. But as an outsider, when I come, I feel inspired to do more. I think that's what it is. And I love the food of Sikkim.
Nepali cuisine.
Nepali cuisine is like my heart. I can In fact, every time I come, yes, I go to all these cafes. So many new ones have opened and it's always a lot of fun. But one meal a day, I have to have the Nepali thali every single day. Raiko saag and gundruk is my favorite thing.
So that's the staple of Sikkimese people, you know?
Yes, I can... And I also love all their meat preparations. And I think also the way that it is served. There is so much dignity, you know, in the brass plate, you know, with all those little chutneys and everything is just, it's so aesthetic. Sikkim for me is aesthetics, you know, the use of color, everything has its beauty, and I've processed it. Over the years, it has become a part of who I am.
So how has the hospitality been towards you by the Sikkimese?
I don't have words. I mean, it's overwhelming. And I can give you so many examples, countless examples. See, people of Sikkim are very kind and empathetic and warm and magnanimous in general. I mean, that is how they are. But to me in particular, I've had some experiences that I cannot forget. Like, I can share one story with you. I think it was in the year 2009.
So was this your first visit?
2009, no, actually 2007 was my first visit, 2009 was my second visit. And I was, you know, like, I had come with my children. They were both very small that time. And I'm a single mother. I was traveling with them and I had bags and everything. And I used to have a sling bag, which had my wallet and it had, you know, a couple of documents and things like that. And I was roaming around in MG Mall, and then we were sitting on those benches. Those days the benches were different. So we were sitting there, and then we left to do, you know, like a little city sightseeing tour to Tashi viewpoint and things like that. I got into the car, and then when I reached Tashi viewpoint, I realized that that sling bag of mine is not with me. And my instant reaction was, oh God, it's gone. And you know, and those were not days of Google Pay and all that. We either had a credit card or we had, you know, like, cash was the medium of functioning. So I had no expectations. But some instinct told me, okay, let me go back to wherever I have been today and ask. And I had no hope, zero hope. But when I came back to MG Marg, there was this elderly gentleman who was sitting there very casually, and, you know, he looked at me and I looked at him, and then he said that in a very strict way, almost जैसे कोई अपने बच्चे को डांटता है ना. He told me, you left your bag here. He was speaking in Nepali. He said, you left your bag here, you should have been more responsible. And I've kept it for you, and take it and be more careful next time. He scolded me, like, without, and, you know, like, it was a very, in that moment, I can't tell you. I mean, the joy of finding my bag, of course, was secondary. But, you know, this power of a human connection. I mean, how people, किस तरह से कोई अनजान आदमी आप पे हक भी जमाता है. You know, it goes to establish so much about the goodness of human beings also. And then, of course, I thanked him and everything. And throughout, he spoke to me in Nepali. And though, I mean, see, Nepali is a language which is not difficult to understand if you speak Hindi, but I can't exactly translate exactly what he said. But, you know, even in that scolding, there was what we call an apnapan. There was a warmth in it. So that is, I mean, this is just one example of, what should I say, the sensitivity that people of Sikkim have.
So these are the little things that brings you to Sikkim again and again.
Yeah, as I said, I have a deep sense of belonging, and it's a beautiful place.
So as you move on to your career, you know, about the films, I find this question very relevant and very, you know, connecting both the things. You have worked with Denny Danjongpa.
Yes,
so he is one of the greatest actors we have in Sikkim, and he is a Bollywood actor. He is active in present day also. So how has the experience been working with him?
Danny sir is a remarkable human being. I mean, his aura and energy is incomparable. Like, I don't think there's anybody in the world who is like Danny sir in the first place. I worked with him in a film called Bioscope Wala, and that film did extremely well at the festivals, in fact. It was a contemporary remake of Tagore's story Kabuliwala, and he played the title role. I mean, he is so gracious, you know, like, he has that aura. Like, when Danny sir walks into a set, you know that he's on set. And when he leaves that set, you kind of feel that that magical energy has gone. So I had a scene with him, and it was a beautiful scene. It was a very emotional moment. And he's such a fine actor. Like, you don't always depend on words to convey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, through his eyes and everything, he just conveyed so beautifully in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
That, when two actors work together, some actors give the other actor. And there are some actors who don't give.
Mm-hmm.
They are only concerned with what they are doing. Danny Saw is a giving actor. I think he just gave me such a beautiful moment in that film. And my response in that film is very much in tune with what his performance was. And that was because of him. So it's a very memorable experience for me to work with him. And of course, he's so inspiring,
Mm-hmm.
His life's journey and how he started. He had humble roots, and, he's really worked hard to achieve what he has. And one thing I think every single young adult in India should do is to take inspiration from Danny Saw. How to be humble.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he has it all, but he's just so grounded, and there is so much humility, and there is so much of... He's so rooted. I think that is something that... It's been a memorable experience. I'll do anything to work with him again.
So have you met him in Sikkim?
I have not met him in Sikkim, but I had gone to Yaksam, which is his birthplace.
So do you wish to meet him?
And I would love to meet him anytime. He's always inspiring. And when I told him about Yaksam, he narrated stories about his childhood, and it was just wonderful. He's a remarkable human being.
So talking about your film journey, you have not just worked in Bollywood films, you have worked in Hollywood films also, a couple of Hollywood films also. So how has your journey been? How has the journey been? Has it been enriching or to you as a person? And the experience so far, the experience you have gathered so far, has it been like that the decision you took to act in films, to work in films, has been worth it, or do you regret sometimes of working?
There is no regret at all. Yeah. There is no regret at all. It has been a very inspiring journey, and it's been a very fulfilling journey. And nothing can be fulfilling without any hardships or without any challenges. You can't live in your comfort zone and think that, yes, I am feeling fulfilled. So, and every film, whether it's big or small, yes, I have done these international projects, and one of them was even the official entry to the Oscars from Norway. And I've also done much smaller films. Every film is an experience. Every film contributes to who I become as an actor, what my capabilities are as an actor, how I evolve as an actor. And of course, I'm sure they also impact me greatly on what I am as a human being.
So why I ask this question about why do you regret it? Because we see film industry as a very competitive film industry. Yes. Thousands of people throng to film industry, but very few get successful in film industry. So how do you feel about that?
See, I think a lot of people in India especially aspire to be actors without any preparation. Yes, talent definitely has a role, but there is no shortcut to the hard work. You have to work. They think, there are many people who still think that if you look good, you can be an actor. I don't think that is true. You need to read. You need to understand the medium. You need to develop your own taste. You need to watch good films. You need to read good literature. You need to see life. You are telling stories. It's a big responsibility. So it's not something which is just, very casual. So everybody goes into it thinking that it'll be like a cakewalk, But it's hard to sustain, and it can be very ruthless and competitive sometimes. But I would say, speaking of Bombay, if you have a certain element of talent, and if you are a hardworking person and you're a thorough professional, the industry does do justice to you. They give you opportunities in the form of auditions, and you do those auditions. And sometimes you get the work, sometimes you don't get the work. But the point is that you have to prove yourself every single time.
So as you mentioned, and as I also mentioned, that you have worked in Bollywood and Hollywood films also. So have you worked in any regional films?
So I have done Bangla films. I have done something in Punjabi. I'm doing something in Malayalam. And I would love to work in a Nepali film. Because
have you been familiar with the Nepali film industry?
I have watched some films, of course. And in fact, I think right now is a very good time for Nepali films, I'm told. Like there was a phase where they were all about just the very masala kind of films. But now there's a lot of meaningful cinema also which is coming about, especially because of some new actors and some new directors. And I mean, that's the information I have. But I'm very fascinated, and I have great respect for the culture and the language. So given an opportunity, I would love to be part of one.
Also, talking about films, I myself am a film enthusiast, and I love watching films. And I don't know about Hollywood because I'm not that much familiar with Hollywood films. But when you talk about Bollywood films are kind of films. People say that you don't need brain to watch those films.
I
People
think that is changing now, no?
Yeah,
I think to an extent, there is some progress we have made there, and a lot has a lot to do with the OTT platforms, etc., where the content has become king. And of course, I think there's room for everything. To stand on a pedestal and say that commercial cinema is bad is not fair, because it has its own role to play. And there are viewers who like to watch commercial films, and commercial films also provide livelihood to so many people. So there is no point in being an intellectual snob and putting something down. The idea is to tell good stories, to get good performances, to create milestones. A film is forever. ये आज की बात नहीं है कि आज देखा ख़त्म हो गया. आज से 500 साल बाद भी लोग वो फिल्म देख सकते हैं. तो people are telling good stories now. That is very, very encouraging. Yeah.
So you talked about stories, good stories and all. Bollywood film industries are, up to a certain extent. I know it is progressing and it is changing, evolving with time.
Yeah.
Bollywood actresses like Kangana Ranaut and Priyanka Chopra are doing good in this kind of stories that tell women's stories centered around women, protagonists and all. So, do you feel that the Bollywood, especially Bollywood and regional film industry, should really focus on films that are female-oriented, women-oriented, and stories that are centered around women's?
They definitely can give women more attention with regard to telling stories about them. Having said that, it's not only about making women-centric films, or it's not only about making masala action films. It has to be a mixed bag. There's room for all kinds of stories. Like, earlier also people used to say that being an actress, they used to use this word, is very centric to age. I think that is also changing. There are so many examples of so many actors who are women actors who are successful who are in their 40s, in their mid 40s, in their late 30s, and people want to see more of them. So things are changing, and women-centric stories are important stories, and they can also be fun stories. कि women-centric film है तो बिल्कुल ही awareness type film है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Women's films can be a lot of fun, and people are changing. They are trying to tell these stories in a truthful way, in a powerful way, and it's encouraging for actors like me especially.
So as we were talking before the interview, you were talking about Sikkimese women, remarkable Sikkimese women. So can you please talk about, in brief, about the women that you have met in Sikkim?
So, to put it in a very concise way, I think women in Sikkim are synonymous with inspiration. They truly, truly inspire. You just have to open your eyes and look out, and you see a woman climbing uphill with one child in her hand and one child on her back, and she's going to work early in the morning. You'll go to all these shops. Like yesterday I was at a salon, and I just got to get my hair washed, and there was this lady who was running the salon. She was so full of energy. She was smiling. She was cutting someone's hair, blow drying someone's hair, supervising a facial for a third person, and she had both her children present there, and one of them was a toddler, must have been 8 months old. But she was in control of everything, and she was doing everything with a smile. There was no complaint. And the good energy that I received from her yesterday, bless her heart, she was just amazing. And I think women in Sikkim are also very determined. You know, like they like to do things. And here I will give a lot of credit also to the men. I mean, this is my observation, and I'm speaking from experience based on what I have observed. The men encourage their women to work. They encourage their women to do well, to accomplish more. And they must be supportive that somehow this system is working. I mean, the society of Sikkim is definitely one that likes women to optimize their potential. So for me, that is very inspiring. So the Sikkimese woman is, of course, very inspiring to me, but I have a lot of respect for the general Sikkimese men as well, who are very positive in this regard. They are not saying that you just stay at home and look after the babies and cook my food. They, you can tell that they are very positive about. I mean, even when you come to the hotel, there are so many women who are working there. It says a lot about the society and the mental makeup of the society.
So as we talk about films, lots of actors are getting into direction and all. So are there any plans for you to get into direction?
See, there are so many stories that move me, and I mean, life is still happening, right? Life is still evolving. My experience as an actor is something that gives me a lot of opportunities. I have a lot of stories that I might like to tell. There are a lot of experiences that have an impact on me, and perhaps some days that is all going to manifest into directing a film. And I can tell you one thing, that when I make a film, I'll definitely set a part of it in Sikkim, because not just because of the natural beauty. I think it's a place that is just so, the purity. I mean, as a state, I find it amazing. And to be very honest with you, I'm going to say this on record. What I admire is that they have kept their culture intact. And I really want to tell everybody that please keep that culture intact. Everything that is Sikkim should be maintained. There should be no high rises. They should be, you know, like the brands should not take over the local Sikkim shops. Because there is nothing as great as that Sikkim experience.
So which place has been the favorite place for you in Sikkim?
It's very hard to decide. Yes, Yaksam, I really like. I mean, there's a monastery there, and I mean, I've spent hours just sitting there. Even Lachin and Lachung, you know, see, now that's the magic of Sikkim. That North Sikkim is different from South Sikkim. South is different from East, and West is different from East. It's so every place has characteristics which make the place special. The one common thing in, I think, all four directions of Sikkim is that the people are fantastic throughout, from north to south, from east to west. The people are what makes Sikkim truly what it is.
So would you recommend people to come to Sikkim?
Of course, of course. People who have not come to Sikkim are missing out on something. And as I said at the start of the interview, I can't speak for everyone else. For me personally, coming to Sikkim means going inwards. It's very meaningful to me to be here.
So as we get to the end of this conversation, I also would like to talk about your, current projects that you have been working on. I think there is one called Kora.
Kora has already released. It's on Netflix, in fact.
Okay. So can you please talk about that also?
So Kora has actually won a series of awards, even Filmfare this time they won. It's directed by Randeep Jha, and it's set in Punjab. It's on Netflix right now. See, the interesting thing is that I have not been typecast as an actor. So people imagine me in all kinds of roles. Like, I have played this very urban woman on a show on Netflix called Bombay Begums. And on Netflix itself, I am playing like a widow in a small village in Punjab. So it's nice to be explored like that as an actor. And I will say that yes, Kora has been a life-changing experience for me, because everybody has watched it. And everybody had, it's a show which is primarily in Punjabi, which is a very interesting, it establishes something very powerful. That connecting to art is not centric to language. People who don't understand Punjabi, I mean, everybody listens to Punjabi music and all that is fine. But so many people have watched it and appreciated it. So there is no restriction. So in the same way, I would say, I mean, you know, whether it's music or whether it's dance, India as a whole has just so much to offer. So, yeah, I mean, going back to talking about my work, I think, yeah, Kohra is the last release that I've had. And currently I'm working with Sriram Raghavan, who is, of course, one of the finest directors of the country. I can't speak about the project because we have these contracts and I take my contracts very seriously. But yeah, there's that, and there are a couple of shows that I'm doing for 2 OTT platforms, which also right now we can't talk about till we finish the show. But yeah, I'm excited, and this year has started well.
So your hands are full right now.
Yes, very full, and which is why I needed to come to Sikkim and compose.
So you talked about, I wanted to know about that also. You talked about web series,
Yes.
So web series, the advent of web series has, evolved film industry also and given chances to many young actors and directors
Yes.
to work. So how has the transition been from, the big screens to the web series?
Actually, COVID played a role in it also.
Yeah.
People just kind of realized that this was another very powerful medium, and this was a very good medium. Ab ghar baithe, and these days everybody has good TVs, Most people also have very busy lives. So you don't take the trouble of going to the cinema and buying a ticket and then spending 45 minutes going, 45 minutes coming, watching a film for 2 hours. You watch a film at your own pace. Also, the web shows. Because so many engaging web shows were made, people took to the medium. See, the audience wants something good. You give the audience something good, they'll want more good. You give them something bad, their taste will become like that. So I think the fact that a lot of good shows were made during COVID, it propelled the medium forward. And then people started watching it, and now there are people who are addicted to the idea of watching a web show, and people are really working hard, like the writers and everyone. There are many stories which could not be told earlier because cinema had a kind of a mold, hero, heroine, villain, गाने, item number, ये वो एक मोल्ड सा उन्होंने बना के रखा था, वो चल रहा था. पब्लिक भी बोर हो गई थी, पर चलो वही था तो वही देखती थी. अब उनको नया सब कुछ मिल रहा है. So they are now watching, which is content which is intriguing and compelling, and stories which are very truthful and hard-hitting.
So you talked about web series, giving a platform for stories that were not told earlier.
Yes.
But if you talk about the government's thinking about on it. They are not quite happy about the web series, the idea about web series, and they think about regulating the market, especially the web series. So how do you feel about that? Should it be regulated or should it be let free?
See, freedom is a very powerful thing, okay? Freedom is something that can greatly benefit a society. But in the same way, freedom comes with a lot of responsibility. Fact also remains that a lot of this freedom is sometimes misused. Yes, and that is where the problem lies. I would like art to always be free, but it has to be free in a way with telling the truth, be truthful, but then don't, like tell stories in a way where you have an agenda, or tell stories in a way where you are trying to sell sex and violence and other such things. It should not be about getting more views. It should be about creating cinema. And if that is the motto, that is the intention, I think full freedom should be the way to go.
So you think it should be self-regulated and self-checked? Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely, I agree.
So as we come to the end of the interview, would you like to say something about our Sikkimese audiences that are watching you, who are watching you right now?
Well, I'm so glad to have had this conversation. Sikkim is such a beautiful place with such beautiful people, and I hope to keep coming back. I mean, Sikkim is where my heart is, and I wish all of you the best, and thank you so much for being a part of this conversation.
So thank you so much, and also Happy New Year to you, and
Thank you.
best wishes for your journey ahead.
Thank you, I really
So
appreciate it.
दर्शकवृन्द हामी तपाईँहरूसँग एउटा अति नै विशेष रोचक इन्टरभ्यू लिएर आउँदै थियौँ। उहाँ हुनुहुन्छ एक्ट्रेस हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँ अकवली खन्ना हुनुहुन्छ अनि उहाँले विभिन्न फिल्म्सहरूमा एक्ट गरिसक्नु भएको छ, हलिउड बलिउड फिल्म्सहरूमा एक्ट गरिसक्नु भएको छ भने उहाँले रिजनल फिल्म्सहरूमा पनि एक्ट गर्ने उहाँले आफ्नो चासो देखाउनु भएको छ र उहाँको जुन सिक्किम भिजिट छ यसलाई लिएर हामी उहाँसँग कुराकानी गर्दै थियौँ। उहाँको स्टोरिजहरू तपाईँहरू समक्ष हामीले लिएर आएको छौँ र यस्तै अन्य स्टोरिज न्युजहरूको लागि हेर्दै गर्नुहोस् सिक्किम क्रोनिकल।